crime to an airline, that it should be flagged. It should not be treated as if it's lost luggage.
The airline told CNN, "We continue to be disheartened by the events Ms. Devlazdes described."
He started to touch my leg, stroke my leg, tickle it.
Jennifer Rafian was on a flight from Newark to Phoenix. She too says the flight crew did not move her away from her harasser. Instead, the airline made an offer.
He gave me 4 $100 gift certificates for travel on an upcoming United flight. And he refused to let me talk to a manager.
But shortly after a news article about her ordeal was published, United management called to, in their words, check on her.
This message is for Ms. Jennifer Rafian. This is calling from United Airlines executive offices. I can't even imagine, what you went through when you were on the flight with the gentleman seated next to you.
At thousands of feet in the air, you can't call for help. You can't remove the problem.
Sarah Nelson is president of one of the world's largest flight attendant unions.
In my 22 years as a flight attendant, I have never taken part in a conversation in training or otherwise about how to handle sexual harassment or sexual assault.
The union surveyed nearly 2,000 flight attendants. 1 out of 5 said they've received a report of a passenger sexual assault, but law enforcement was contacted less than half the time. CNN reached out to all of the major U.S. airlines and the industry trade group that represents them. None agreed to go on camera, but all released statements with a similar message. Passenger safety and security is their priority, and they say flight attendants are trained to handle these incidents, but none gave a detailed explanation of the policies or guidelines. No federal regulatory agency tracks how many mid-air sexual assaults happen nationwide, but the FBI does track how many it investigates. Federal data shows a 66% increase from 2014 to 2017. The FBI says it's unclear what's behind the rise, but what is clear for these women flight crews need to do more, because at 30,000 feet, there's no escape. Well, I want to thank all 4 women for sharing their stories with CNN. The 4 women in this piece say they want 3 things. 1, the flight crew should always separate the victim from the harasser. Don't allow drunk people on flights. Alcohol played a role in a lot of these cases. And 3rd,
they're fighting to stay alive. Please find it in your heart this holiday season to help them. Go online or call now and join our fight to rescue these innocent animals from cruelty. And because the situation is so urgent, we're asking you to join in the next 10 minutes. And if you do, we'll send you this free membership kit, including this Animal Champion t-shirt. This is your last chance to get this limited edition item, so act now. It's the season of giving, and your monthly donation could be the greatest gift you give to an animal who needs you. Go online or call now.
Two of the most respected men in television. The first, known for his hard-hitting journalism.
Shannon, you still lactate?
And the other, known for this.
Sorry.
Together for one epic night. New Year's Eve Live with Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen, only on CNN.
New Year's Day. Celebrate 40 years of television.
Television was a place to escape to.
Good morning, angels.
Good morning, Charlie.
What are you staring at?
Back-to-back episodes. TV through the decades. New Year's Day starting at 4.
Parts of Pennsylvania are ending the year under a massive pile of snow. In Erie, they got, check this out, they got more than 60 inches of snow, 5 feet. And now a huge chunk of the country is about to get hit with a blast of record low temperatures. CNN meteorologist Allison Chinchar joins us now from the CNN Weather Center in Atlanta. Allison, our numbers, I guess, 17 million people under a wind chill advisory right now. That number expected to rise by tomorrow. What should people be expecting?
Right, so they should be expecting both incredibly cold temperatures, but also strong winds, 20 to 30 miles per hour to go along with it. The main focus is the Northeast, where you have your wind chill advisories and your wind chill warnings. Here's a look at those temperatures, though. Take Boston, for example. Tomorrow morning, when many folks wake up, the temperature, we're talking minus 13 is what it's going to feel like, minus 15 by Friday. So a lot of these areas are going to be worse even Friday into Saturday. That's why we expect to have even more numbers go up in those wind chill advisories. But here's the thing you have to understand. We're going to get another blast of cold air. Here's the one currently for today, but notice as we get into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, that next round begins to push back through. Here's the thing with that. That may actually be a good thing for all those folks in the Great Lakes region that have had so much snow. Here's why. This is a current look at Lake Erie. Only 9% of it is covered by ice. By the time we get to Monday, thanks to these incredibly cold temperatures, it's likely to be %40 covered in ice. This is actually a good thing because in order to have lake effect snow, a lot of that lake effect snow. The problem is this likely won't occur till Monday, which means any moisture that comes in until that point is going to add to that snow they already have.
Allison Chinchar, thanks very much. Thank you for watching 360. The CNN Special Report, Late Night in the Age of Trump, starts now.
The following is a CNN Special Report.
Buckle up, because I'm coming in hot. This is going to be a crazy one.
Every day there's something nuts.
You're not the POTUS.
You're the bloatus.
Wait, how long does this wall have to be?
He's the most mocked man in America.
That is the problem with the media.
Monopolizing late night.
It's hard not to feel like you're being redundant.
Kim Jong-un as Rocket Man.
Kim Jong-un Rocket Man.
Kim Jong-un as Rocket Man.
Dominating SNL.
Such a nasty guy.
He's like a mine, producing raw material.
He's blowing up scripts.
Oh, that's a really great joke.
Good. The pace of the news. Stop it. So much faster.
Me first.
Making and breaking careers.
It's like a little kind of Churchill. Excuse me.
Would you say you're on a mission to take him down?
I would like to see him brought down to the ground, preferably in handcuffs.
You're turning into a real tater.
Has late night gone too far?
Does it go disrespectful of the office of the presidency? I think so.
Let's roll! Tonight, late night in the age of Trump. November 8th, 2016.
Thank you.
The Late Show's Stephen Colbert was hosting a live election night special, a seemingly dream gig for the comedian who believed he'd be documenting history, the dawning of a Hillary Clinton presidency. He began the show upbeat.
You don't need to chant my name. America doesn't have dictators yet.
Here you have a guy, a host, ready to tell a certain number of jokes that he expects are going to come out in the way he wants. And instead, the show starts to turn.
Bill Carter is the author of The War for Late Night.
So he's like in between. He doesn't know which way to go.
Well, when Trump wins the state, it will turn bright orange.
Colbert tried to keep the jokes coming as the race got closer and closer.
This one is a nail biter and a passport grab.
Culture reporter for the New York Times.
I think he was just so incredibly unprepared to greet a Donald Trump presidency.
At some point, it stopped being funny for him.
It did stop being funny.
And got downright uncomfortable when Trump went from underdog to frontrunner.
Donald Trump has taken the state of Florida. That's a horrifying prospect. I can't put a happy face on that. And that's my job.
All of his emotions were on display, and it was made for incredibly arresting television, but in some ways disturbing. You're watching a guy have his hopes drain out of him right on the air. I've never seen anything like that before.
Sorry to keep you waiting, complicated business.
When it was all over and the results were in, Colbert, shell-shocked, left the audience with some dark final thoughts.
So how did our politics get so poisonous? I think it's because we overdosed, especially this year. We drank too much of the poison.
I think there was some sort of psychological change that came over Colbert.
We as a nation agree that we should never, ever have another election like this one. Do you agree?
He became a different host after that.
It's The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
Colbert's harsh attacks on Trump galvanized viewers, catapulting him and The Late Show to its biggest ratings victory in 2 decades.
Welcome to The Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert.
It took him months, maybe about a year.
February, Colbert edged out longtime rival Jimmy Fallon when he ripped apart Trump's first solo press conference.
To be honest, I inherited a mess.
No, you inherited a fortune. We elected a mess.
Colbert never let up, growing more vocal and more vicious as time passed.
I have the constitutional right to say that Donald Trump looks like a rotting haystack made of meat, but you cannot.
Trump gave new life to all the late-night hosts.
He's a human. What is wrong with this picture?
Trump keeps creating the material. He's like a mine. He's producing raw material.
He's just going to look them in the camera and say, ISIS, stop it.
Have you ever seen anything like this in another presidency?
There's never been anything like this in a presidency. Now, we've never had this many late-night people before, so we've never had teams of 10 or 12 comedy writers all writing jokes about the same guy all the time.
We went into the weekend worrying about Kim Jong-un starting a war. We came out of it wondering if our president is cutting eye holes out of his bed sheets.
How many late-night hosts are members of the resistance?
Well, it's at least two overtly. Colbert and Seth Meyers are, to me, they're like the voices of the resistance. Basically, the shows are about Trump.
I boldly said on this show it was a stunt and he would never really run.
Seth Meyers was equally stunned on election night. He offered a mea culpa on late night the next day.
Based on this pattern of me being wrong on every one of my Donald Trump predictions, he's probably going to be a great president.
Then he gave the new president a warning.
We here at Late Night will be watching you.
Meyers kept that promise, brutally dissecting Trump's every move in his signature Closer Look segment. Would you call what you're doing now investigative comedy?
We do try to bring out information that you couldn't get out in a monologue joke, so we try to do a longer piece where we can sort of have a little bit more freedom to explain the story.
Trump is so fully out of his mind, he broke a general. That guy's been in wars.
It might be explanatory journalism sometimes?
Sure, I think we try very hard. Explanatory comedy. Again, I'm always...
You're afraid of the J word, aren't you?
Well, I feel like I'm doing a disservice to people who actually practice journalism to say that I'm doing it as well. I like doing comedy the most, so that's what I'd like to stick with.
But experts say that in the era of Trump, viewers depend on comedians like Meyers to make sense of the constant cycle of news.
It's time for Breaking Crazy.
He's going as in-depth as he can. The line between late-night comedy and news reporting is so thoroughly blurred. People want a kind of a frontline style late-night show.
2016 has been an uncommonly year.
What viewers want, they get, and plenty of it. Coming up, The Daily Show descendants.
You were telling the president about Putin. Go.
You really see a Jon Stewardization of late night. It was really pushed along by the Donald Trump presidency.
American Legion Trump, respectful and strong.
We have to get going, sir.
I don't want to go.
And later, the ever-expanding late-night landscape.
You're the president of the United States. Let's go.
We shall pay any price to assure the survival and the success of liberty.
The victim of the most bizarre kidnapping story in American history.
I will not accept the nomination of my party for another term.
The number of men killed last week in Vietnam was the highest.
This is CNN.
Resolution number 1, binge more. Join the Uncarrier and get 4 unlimited lines for only $40 each. Whoa. Plus, Netflix for the whole family on us. So they get their shows.
Let's go, girl. You're gonna love this pic.
And you get yours. Watch however you want on your phone, tablet, or TV for just $40 per line with no extra charges.
Let's rock this joint.
All on America's best unlimited network, T-Mobile.
It's time for Sleep Number's lowest prices of the season on the only bed that adjusts on both sides to your ideal comfort. Your Sleep Number setting. And snoring? Does your bed do that? It's the lowest prices of the season on the Queen C4 mattress with adjustable comfort on both sides. Now $11.99. Save $400. Plus 24-month financing available. Ends Monday. Visit sleepnumber.com for a store near you.
quality inclusions than any other resorts on the planet. Save up to 65%. Call 1-800-SANDALS.
You might take something for your heart or joints, but do you take something for your brain? With an ingredient originally found in jellyfish, Prevagen is the #1 selling brain health supplement in drugstores nationwide. Prevagen, the name to remember.
You know that feeling in Candy Crush when you beat a level and get a sugar crush?
What feeling?
They get it.
Candy Crush, play now.
Give a little bit. Give a little bit of your love to me. There's so much that we need to share. So send a smile and show that you care. Give a little bit of my love to you.
From the outer limits of a world unlike any ever known comes a spine-tingling hail of horrifying headlines and political intrigue. Join me, Tom Foreman, for All the Best, All the Worst 2017. Tomorrow night at 9.
January 10th, 2017.
We have a lot of people who are sort of tasked with watching things as they happen.
1 hour before Seth Meyers taped Late Night, there was big breaking news.
Breaking news. Russian operatives claim to have compromising personal and financial information about Mr. Trump.
That night, Kellyanne Conway, Trump's incoming White House counselor, was scheduled to appear on his show.
I had the CNN printout of that story. I made sure I understood the details of it because obviously it wasn't my expertise.
He started things out light.
He is my president.
Good for you.
He's my president so much, it's keeping me up at night.
Then he got serious, probing Conway about the big news of the day.
I believe it said they did brief him on it.
Oh, he has said that he is not aware of that.
Okay. That concerns me.
He was incredibly prepared. Unlike even some news people interviewing her, he would not let her get away with anything.
I sometimes fear that the president-elect has no curiosity as to the amount they tried.
That is completely false.
Okay.
He has enormous curiosity. I'm there every day with him. He has a number of different meetings every day, briefings and otherwise. He was curious enough to figure out America. He knew America when many other Republicans did not.
Right there, Kellyanne.
No, and Democrats did not.
He did not let her slip away. I thought it was very effective. It was one of the best interviews he's done.
In general, you always walk away from interviews with politicians wishing, you'd pushed a little harder.
Have the hosts stopped being funny and started getting too serious?
It's become a new brand of comedy, I think, that's both informative and, yeah, I do think pretty funny.
Giovanni Rusinello was hired by the New York Times to do a daily roundup column called Best of Late Night.
We realized that Trump, through his own style, was redefining the landscape of late-night TV.
Do you think if someone watched these shows every night the way you do, they would find themselves changing their political views?
No, I think that the way these shows work is they tune into a certain decibel level, a certain level of outrage, a certain angle of critique.
The president was griping about the size of the crowd and wondering how his pink tie played with his audience.
Who would you say is the toughest on Trump?
Colbert has been the most savage in his attacks.
I'm the most unpopular president in modern history. I've deepened America's racial divide. We are on the brink of thermonuclear conflict. It's got to be the pink tie, right?
Other hosts are making equally, if not even more substantive, critiques of the president.
Trump's trust in Breitbart actually goes way back.
Every time we see John Oliver, once a week, they've spent a full week preparing what are essentially investigative reports.
Holding up a Breitbart article does not make you seem more credible.
Oliver, a Daily Show vet, has earned the rep of being one of the sharpest political satirists on Late Night.
My sources, talk to them!
He devotes a huge chunk of HBO's Last Week Tonight to fact-finding.
The press is going to be a key element in helping us sort out fact from fiction, and they are under attack.
Do you remember in February he hires a bunch of singing dancers to try to inform Trump about Putin?
Pageantry for him is activism, and I think that's part of our new reality.
On my car.
He's essentially being a town crier and an advocate, as well as a newfangled TV comedian.
Donald Trump is acting moodier and more erratic.
James Corden is a more broad approach guy, but he's done some pretty tough things about Trump.
And recently confided in one White House aide, telling him, "I hate everyone in the White House." Is this guy the President of the United States or a cast member on Big Brother? I hate everyone in the house.
Corden and Oliver have a way of looking at the American experience, like, are you kidding me? This is what you people do?
I'm sharing news from the White House.
The clever bits kept coming. But with so many late-night stars, how do hosts stand apart? Do you ever worry about saying the same thing every other show is saying?
Yeah, I mean, we think about it a little bit, but it happens less often than you would think.
Steve Bodo is the executive producer of The Daily Show with Trevor Noah.
We said Trump was an African dictator, right?
Trevor has a certain point of view and a certain style. And so even if Stephen's show observed the same thing on a given night, it's still going to come out differently.
Donald Trump does not around, eh?
He delivers these punches against Donald Trump that doesn't have the nastiness other hosts do.
Special like important or special like the guy I made fun of? Which one?
He struggled to find his voice when he took over Jon Stewart's chair.
This is The Daily Show with Trevor Noah.
But nearly 2 years later, Noah and The Daily Show were flying high. Then there was that one epic week in May.
Comey is fired.
If he's gone, who's going to investigate Russia's ties to...
It comes out that Trump maybe leaked information to the Russians in the Oval Office.
This is a trap, no? No, it has to be. No, it can't be this easy. Come on, come on.
And Mueller's
appointed.
Probably saying to himself, man, I'm glad I am not part of this anymore. I am just like, hello?
Each night we were just like rewriting the show almost on the fly when that happened. I was very proud of that.
Trump and those bombshells notched Trevor Noah his best week ever.
Comey reminds me of every black mother. I brought you into this world, and child, I can take you out of it.
Is Donald Trump the best thing that's ever happened to late night TV?
There are certainly days where it seems that way.
Next, too much Trump?
He refers to Kim Jong-un as Rocket Man, which beats the other nickname he gave him, Lil Kim.
Maybe don't make it sound like he's an action-packed new movie franchise. Just call him Lil Kim.
Then there are also times where it's hard not to feel like you're being redundant.
Six-year-old Ella is traumatized. As she played outside her home, a bomb exploded. Since then, she has not spoken. Surely one little girl terrified this way is one too many. The floods drove Zainab from her home. Her little boy, Rajav, is sick, dying. Surely one baby dying from cholera is one too many. Tomorrow may be too late to protect innocent children caught up in conflict and disaster. Please, will you do just one thing today to help vulnerable children? Please call now and give just $21 a month to let them know someone will be there for them. When people have lost everything, when they have been forced